Welcome back. So, in today's explainer, we're diving into a totally fascinating, practically invisible world that sits right in front of your eyes, or, well, right inside your ears. We're looking at the intricate, seriously creative art of Foley sound. The whole premise here is simple but honestly mind-bending. Almost everything you hear in movies, TV shows, and even video games is a carefully crafted auditory illusion. The world on screen sounds absolutely real to you, but the reality behind how those sounds are actually made, it's bizarre, it's chaotic, and it's wonderfully inventive.
Okay, I want you to picture something for a second. Imagine a classic, visceral movie scene. Picture a brutal, bare-knuckle fistfight on screen. Two characters are just trading blows, and with every single strike, you hear that heavy, painful, bone-crunching thud. It sounds exactly like what you think a fight should sound like, right? It makes you physically wince. But what are you actually listening to?
Okay, let's dive into this, because reality is wild. On screen, what you see is a brutal fistfight, but what you're actually hearing in the studio, that's a sound artist violently smashing walnuts inside a raw chicken carcass with a baseball bat. I mean, no way, right? But that is the reality of Foley. Our ears are constantly being deceived by these sound designers who know exactly how to manipulate totally everyday objects to create the perfect auditory illusion. They are quite literally building a world of sound from scratch.
So why do they even do this? To understand why this is necessary, you have to ask yourself, what would happen if they didn't? Imagine a cowboy walking into a saloon, but there is absolutely no sound of his heavy leather boots hitting the wooden floor. Or imagine a horse galloping without the iconic clop-clop of hooves. It'd be weird. When movies are filmed, the microphones on set are focused entirely on capturing the actor's dialogue. Everything else, the ambient noise, the wind, passing traffic, is usually just a messy, unusable disaster. That original audio is called a field recording. And if you just rely on that, movies feel unnaturally quiet, hollow, and honestly, incredibly uncomfortable to watch.
Section 1. Who was Jack Foley, the pioneer of post-production sound?
To fix that uncomfortable on-set silence we just talked about, the industry turned to this guy, Jack Foley. His career basically parallels the evolution of cinema itself. He started at Universal Studios way back in 1914, smack in the middle of the silent movie era. But then, the industry shifted massively. In 1927, Warner Brothers released The Jazz Singer, which brought synchronized sound to the masses. Universal had to catch up fast. By 1929, they were turning their upcoming silent film, Showboat, into a full-blown musical. But because microphones back then couldn't pick up anything more than the dialogue, Foley and his small crew essentially had to invent a brand new art form. They projected the film onto a screen, carefully watched the actors' movements, and performed live sound effects in perfect synchronization on a single audio track. They had to match footsteps and closing doors exactly to the frame. And the craziest part? This foundational method of performing sounds live to a projected screen is exactly how it is still done today.
So the crucial point is that Foley art can essentially be broken down into three main categories of physical performance. First, we have feet, and this is exactly what it sounds like. It's the meticulous art of perfectly timing footsteps on different surfaces, like gravel, wood, or snow. Next up, we have moves. This covers the really subtle sounds, like clothing swishing, fabric rubbing, or someone just shifting in a chair. It fills those quiet, awkward gaps between dialogue. And finally, specifics, which is the unique, isolated stuff. Think of a creaking door, a clinking glass, or a ringing telephone.
Section 2. The Foley Artist's Toolkit. Everyday Objects, Iconic Sounds.
You'd think to get all this timing and specificity right, you'd need a super high-tech lab, right? Not at all. A Foley artist studio looks way more like a wildly disorganized junkyard of everyday items. Take the 1982 classic E.T. You probably remember that endearing, kind of gross, squishy sound of the little alien walking around. Well, to engineer that specific texture, the Foley artist didn't boot up some advanced synthesizer, nope. They literally just squished around a damp t-shirt and a big bowl of Jell-O.
Or, okay, think about James Cameron's Titanic from 1997. There's that totally harrowing scene where Rose is floating on the wooden door in the freezing ocean. As she lifts her head, you hear this chilling, brittle sound of her frozen hair crackling against the wood. It sounds so terrifyingly cold. The reality? The Foley artists were just peeling a head of frozen lettuce right next to a microphone.
And if we're talking horror, it gets even more creative. In the 1977 supernatural classic The Exorcist, there's that infamous, terrifying scene where the possessed girl's head twists a full 360 degrees. That horrifying sound of tearing tendons and snapping vertebrae, it was achieved with a totally mundane object. They just took a crew member's old leather wallet, stuffed it full of credit cards, and twisted it back and forth right up against the mic. Literally, that's it.
Beyond those iconic examples, there's basically an entire shorthand of common Foley tricks used all across the industry. When you hear broken bones snapping on screen, you are almost always just listening to someone violently snapping celery or carrots. A menacing snake hiss? Often just a piece of sandpaper rubbing against the surface. The mechanical click of a gunshot being cocked is frequently just a heavy-duty office stapler. And of course, the absolute classic, the rhythmic sound of a horse galloping is still created by striking empty coconut shells against a wooden board. It's a literal magic trick for your ears.
Section 3. Sound Design in Fight Club. The obsessive search for the perfect punch.
Now, to really grasp the absolute, insane dedication required in this field, we need to do a deep dive into David Fincher's 1999 film Fight Club. The audio team immediately faced what sound designer Ren Kleiss called the Hollywood punch problem. If you listen to older movies like Rocky, the punches use the exact same recycled sound over and over. They sound, well, very muddy, dark, and boxy. Director David Fincher is notoriously demanding, and those standard sounds just did not cut it for him. He wanted the audience to really feel the agonizing pain of a bare-fisted brawl, so the audio team had to go and invent entirely new textures.
This led Foley artist John Rush to assemble this chaotic, frankly brutal audio arsenal. To actually capture that sensation of painful, bare-fisted contact, they brought out baseball bats, raw chicken carcasses, walnuts, pig's feet, and heavy leather bags. They spent hours just smacking slabs of meat around the studio, cracking those walnuts inside the carcasses to simulate breaking bone, and layering all these sounds together to create a feeling of close, agonizing combat.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates the obsessive, purely iterative nature of post-production sound. As Ren Kleiss noted, despite all this crazy effort, David Fincher would hate everything, and we would have to start all over again. Because you see, what sounds like a fantastic punch on the isolated Foley stage might sound entirely wrong once you layer in the musical score and the ambient crowd noise. It's this relentless, exhausting process of testing, failing, and refining until the director's vision is met perfectly.
They actually went a step further for Fight Club to achieve true reality. Since a lot of those fights take place in dingy basements, standard digital reverb effects, like the fancy Lexicon 480 everyone used, they just didn't sound authentic enough. So the mix tech, Jürgen Scharf, created a worldizing chamber. They literally took all those fabricated punches and the agonizing yells they recorded, set up stereo microphones inside the actual physical basement of Skywalker Sound, and played the audio out loud just to re-record the authentic echoes of the real room.
Section 4. The Unsung Audio Artisans. Foley in the Global Scenario.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is when we zoom out from Hollywood to the global stage, we see these incredible contrasts. Just look at the reality of this workspace, an Indian Foley stage. Foley is a totally universal language, but there is this wild dichotomy. On one hand, you have high-tech, multi-million-dollar movie magic happening on screen. But on the other hand, the reality of creating it involves sitting barefoot in a room that looks like a cluttered junkyard, totally surrounded by broken wood, rusted metal, and old rags. It is an incredibly physical, analog craft happening right in the dead center of a deeply digital industry.
Now, obviously, technology is starting to shift how some of this is done. We are seeing a real rise in digital Foley. While traditional Foley totally relies on those live performances with physical props on a dedicated stage, digital Foley allows sound editors to use MIDI data and sampler plugins to digitally walk footsteps perfectly in sync with the picture, directly from their keyboard. It definitely saves space and time. But even with all these cool digital tools, the core requirement remains exactly the same. An artist has to use their human ear to perform the timing, the weight, and the texture of the sound flawlessly.
And that brings us to the grand paradox of the Foley artist. It's an art form totally defined by its own erasure. Think about it. If a Foley artist does their job flawlessly, perfectly marrying the crunch of a shoe to the visual of a footstep, the audience will never, ever know they did anything at all. The greatest Foley art is completely invisible to the viewer. You literally only notice them when they mess up.
So, as we wrap up, I want to leave you with a thought that will hopefully change the way you experience media from now on. The next time you sit down to watch a film, a TV show, or even play a video game, just close your eyes for a quick second and ask yourself, are you actually hearing reality? Or are you just listening to a masterful symphony of frozen lettuce, damp t-shirts, and crushed walnuts? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and hey, keep your ears open.